I am a software developer from Seattle who built my career writing code for tech startups. 5 years ago, I met Amanda at a friend's party, and we fell hard for each other. After 3 years together, we bought our dream home with me, contributing 70% of the down payment and her 30. When our relationship crumbled, she sued me for half the house value despite our clear financial arrangement. Her greed unleashed a legal nightmare she never anticipated. Before I reveal how my ex's greed destroyed her life, drop a comment letting me know if you've ever had someone's revenge plot backfire on them. Do not forget to hit subscribe. You will not want to miss what happened next. My life before Amanda was comfortable but predictable. At 32, I had established myself as a competent back-end developer for a growing financial technology company. My weekdays consisted of solving complex coding problems, and weekends were filled with hiking the Pacific Northwest trails or catching up with my close circle of friends, mostly fellow tech workers who understood my passion for elegant code. Solutions. I met Amanda at my colleague Derek's housewarming party on a rainy October evening. She stood by the windows commenting on the Seattle skyline to anyone who would listen. Something about her animated expressions drew me over. "Amazing view, right?" I said, joining her by the window. She turned her hazel eyes appraising me before smiling. "Joseph Wright, Derek mentioned you helped him find this place." Her remembering my name caught me off guard. "Good memory. And you are Amanda." "I work in marketing at Crestview. Derek and I met at a tech mixer last month." That initial conversation flowed effortlessly for hours. Amanda possessed a sharp intellect and quick wit that matched my more reserved personality perfectly. By the end of the night, we had exchanged numbers and made plans for coffee the following weekend. Our relationship progressed naturally. Coffee dates became dinner dates. Dinner dates evolved into weekend getaways to the Oregon coast. Within 6 months, we had met each other's families. My parents in Portland loved her outgoing nature, while her more conservative parents in Tacoma seemed to approve of my stable career. For 2 years, everything felt right. Amanda challenged me to be more adventurous, introducing me to rock climbing and improv classes. I helped her develop a more structured approach to her finances, something she claimed to appreciate. We complemented each other well, or so I thought. In our third year together, moving in seemed like the logical next step. Both our leases were ending, and spending on 2 apartments in Seattle's expensive market made little financial sense when we spent nearly every night together anyway. What if we bought a place instead of renting? Amanda suggested one evening as we scrolled through rental listings. Interest rates are low, and we would be building equity instead of throwing money away. The idea made sense, so we began house hunting. We spent weekends visiting open houses across different neighborhoods, debating the merits of fixer-uppers versus newer construction. Amanda favored stylish, updated homes in trendy areas, while I was more concerned with structural integrity and investment potential. After viewing 23 different properties, we found a 1920s Craftsman in Fremont that had been tastefully renovated but retained its original character. 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, a small yard, and walking distance to restaurants and shops. The asking price was $700,000, steep but not outrageous for Seattle. "This is our home, Joseph," Amanda whispered as we stood in the sunlit living room during our second viewing. "I can see us building a life here." I could see it too. The practical discussions followed: how much to offer, how we would divide the costs. I had substantially more savings than Amanda, a fact she seemed both grateful for and slightly resentful of. "I can put down $300,000, I told her. "That would give us a reasonable mortgage." Amanda looked uncomfortable. "I only have about $90,000 saved. That is fine. I will cover 70%. You cover 30%, and we will split the mortgage the same way I suggested. We will document the arrangement so everything is clear." She agreed, though reluctantly. "But we will both be on the deed, right? Equal owners." I explained that for mortgage approval it would be easier to have just my name on it initially, since my credit score was better, but we could add her to the deed after closing. She accepted this with a tight smile I should have recognized as forced. Our offer was accepted, and within 45 days we moved into our dream home. That first year of cohabitation was mostly blissful. We painted every room together, arguing playfully about color choices. We hosted dinner parties for friends and participated in neighborhood block parties, quickly becoming part of the community. Looking back, I missed the warning signs. Amanda's insistence on expensive furniture beyond our agreed budget. Her subtle comments about how she deserved more because she made our house a home. The way she tracked my work bonuses and suggested ways to spend them before they even arrived. The occasional remarks about how her friends' boyfriends had purchased their homes outright. These were red flags waving in the gentle breeze of love, and I was too comfortable to notice them flapping. The shift in our relationship began 18 months after moving in together. I received a significant promotion at work, heading up a new blockchain integration project that would revolutionize our payment processing system. It was my dream opportunity, challenging work, increased salary and equity options that could set us up for early retirement if the project succeeded. It also meant longer hours, at least temporarily. I explained this to Amanda, emphasizing the long-term benefits for both of us. "So you will just be abandoning me in this big house every night?" she asked, arms crossed. "It is temporary, 6 months of crunch time at most," I assured her. "The team is depending on me, and the compensation package is incredible." She softened slightly. "How incredible are we talking?" When I mentioned the potential value of the equity, her demeanor changed completely. Suddenly, my longer hours were a worthy sacrifice, and she became uncharacteristically interested in the details of my compensation structure. 3 months into my new role, our joint credit card bill arrived with charges I did not recognize. Designer clothing, expensive restaurant charges, on days we had not been out together, and a weekend spa retreat I knew nothing about. The total extra charges amounted to over $4,000. "Amanda, what are these charges?" I asked, showing her the statement. She glanced at it casually. "Just some work clothes and client lunches." "Why are you monitoring my spending all of a sudden?" "Because we agreed on a budget for shared expenses, and this is well beyond that. And client lunches on our joint card." Her expression hardened. "My company reimburses slowly, and I needed the clothes for work events. Not everyone can wear the same 3 button-ups in rotation like you do." That conversation ended in our first major argument, which led me to discover Amanda had been hiding substantial debt, over $30,000 in credit cards I knew nothing about. When confronted, she became defensive, accusing me of financial controlling behavior. "You make 3 times what I do. Why should I have to struggle while you hoard your money?" she yelled. "I am not hoarding anything. I paid more than double what you did for this house, and we split expenses proportionally to our incomes," I reminded her. "That was our agreement." "Agreements change when circumstances change," she shot back. These arguments became more frequent as my work hours remained long. Amanda began staying out later, claiming girls' nights and networking events. She grew protective of her phone, angling it away when I entered the room and taking calls in other rooms. One evening, I walked into our bedroom to find her hurriedly putting down her phone when she saw me. "Everything okay?" I asked. "Fine, just work stuff," she replied too quickly. Later that night, a notification lit up her phone while she was in the shower. The message preview showed a text from someone named Mark that read, "Can't wait to see you tomorrow. Wear those leggings I like." My stomach dropped. When Amanda returned, I asked directly if she was seeing someone else. "Are you spying on my phone now?" she deflected, face flushing. "That is Mark from marketing. We are working on a campaign together. At the gym, because he seems excited about your leggings." Her expression cycled through shock, anger, and finally calculation. "You are being ridiculous. Mark is gay, and we're meeting for a workout before our presentation. Your paranoia is getting out of control, Joseph." I wanted to believe her, but something felt off. The next few weeks, I noticed Amanda was suddenly very interested in fitness, leaving early for sunrise yoga and staying late for cross-training. Her explanation made sense on the surface. She wanted to get healthier while I was busy with work, but my gut told me otherwise. My suspicions were confirmed when I ran into our mutual friend Sophia at a coffee shop near my office. She mentioned seeing Amanda and her hunky personal trainer looking very cozy at a restaurant across town. When I asked what he looked like, her description matched a guy I had seen on Amanda's Instagram, tagged as Mark, her supposed gay colleague. That night, I confronted Amanda with what I knew. After initial denials, the truth came tumbling out in a cascade of justifications and blame. "You were never home. What did you expect me to do? Just wait around forever," she shouted. "Mark makes me feel wanted, appreciated. So the solution to feeling neglected is to cheat rather than talk to me." I asked, my voice hollow. "I tried talking. You always prioritized work over me. And honestly, Mark is more fun, more spontaneous." Her words cut deeper with each syllable. "How long has this been going on? Does it matter? 3 months if you need to know. 3 months, almost the entire duration of my project. While I was building our future, she was dismantling our foundation." The next morning, Amanda announced she was moving out to live with Mark, who I discovered was not a marketing colleague but her gym trainer. The betrayal was comprehensive, the lies elaborate. In the weeks that followed, I spiraled into depression. Friends I had neglected during my work crunch stepped up, ensuring I ate and occasionally left the house. At work, I functioned on autopilot, my focus shattered. Amanda moved most of her things out while I was at the office, another betrayal in itself. Then came the matter of the house. I initially tried to be reasonable, offering to buy her out at current market value for her 30% contribution. "I want half," she stated during a tense meeting at a neutral coffee shop. "I put 3 years of my life into this relationship and that house. But we documented your contribution as 30%, I reminded her. "I paid over twice what you did. That does not matter. We were planning a future together, which makes it a partnership 50-50. Her expression was cold, calculated. "And do not forget all the unpaid labor I put into making that house a home." I tried to negotiate, offering slightly more than her documented share. Amanda refused to budge, and communication broke down completely. 3 weeks later, I received a certified letter from her attorney informing me she was suing for 50% ownership of the house, plus additional damages for unpaid domestic contributions. The legal notice felt like a physical blow. I sat at my kitchen table, the same one Amanda and I had carefully selected from a local craftsman, staring at the formal language that reduced our 5-year relationship to disputed assets and allegations. The lawsuit claimed Amanda was entitled to 50% of the house valued at $900,000, despite documentation showing her 30% contribution. It also demanded compensation for substantial domestic labor enhancing property value and listed numerous personal items she claimed sole ownership of, including furniture we had purchased together. My hands shook as I read the increasingly outrageous claims. According to her lawsuit, Amanda had been essentially an unpaid property manager, interior designer, and personal assistant. She even claimed that her social connections had increased the property value by introducing us to neighbors who provided renovation referrals. I spent that night researching attorneys, finally scheduling a consultation with Thomas Walker, a family law specialist with experience in unmarried couples' property disputes. His office occupied the 15th floor of a downtown building with views of Puget Sound, views that came with a steep hourly rate of $375. "Unfortunately, this is becoming increasingly common," Thomas said after reviewing my documents. "The good news is, you have excellent documentation of the financial arrangements. The bad news is that even frivolous lawsuits cost money to defend." "How much are we talking about?" I asked, my mouth dry. "A case like this, taking it through trial if necessary, $15,000 to $20,000, potentially more if she drags things out." The figure made me wince. Between the mortgage payments, I was now covering a loan, and my existing legal consultation, my savings were already taking a hit. And if I just settle, give her what she wants. Thomas leaned forward. "That would be another $450,000, plus whatever value she assigns to these other claims. Is that a number you are comfortable with?" Put that way, the answer was clear. I had to fight. Through mutual friends, I learned that Amanda and Mark were having financial troubles. Apparently, personal trainers do not make enough to support the lifestyle Amanda had grown accustomed to. This explained the aggressive financial demands, but made me even more determined to protect what was rightfully mine. As the lawsuit proceeded, Amanda escalated her tactics. She began posting thinly veiled references to me on social media, painting herself as the victim of financial abuse. Mutual friends forwarded me screenshots of her claims that I had trapped her in a controlling relationship and was now trying to leave her homeless. "You should just settle," my friend Derek advised over beers one night. "This is consuming your life." He was right about one thing: the stress was affecting everything. I had lost weight. My performance at work was suffering, and I was spending evenings poring over financial records instead of recovering from burnout. But something inside me refused to capitulate to injustice. "This is about principle," I told Derek. "She is trying to take advantage of me after she was the one who cheated and left." Our first court appearance was for a preliminary hearing. The courtroom was nothing like the dramatic spaces shown in television shows, just a mundane room with fluorescent lighting, worn wooden benches, and the subtle scent of industrial cleaner. Amanda sat across the aisle with her attorney, a sharp-featured woman in an expensive suit. Amanda had dressed conservatively, all traces of the vibrant, casual woman I had known, erased in favor of a demure persona, clearly designed to impress the judge. Judge Rivera, a no-nonsense woman in her 60s, reviewed the initial filings and strongly recommended mediation before proceeding further. "These disputes are always better resolved by the parties themselves," she advised. The court-ordered mediation was a disaster. Amanda arrived with a typed list of demands that had somehow grown since her initial filing. She now wanted compensation for emotional labor and career sacrifices supposedly made for our relationship. My client could have pursued management opportunities but prioritized creating a stable home environment, her attorney claimed across the conference table. Thomas raised his eyebrows slightly. "And does your client have documentation of these declined opportunities? Or perhaps witnesses who can attest to job offers?" Refused. They did not, of course, but Amanda remained unmoved by any reasonable offer. She rejected my proposal to pay her 35% of the current value, more than her documented contribution, without even considering it. "My client believes 50% is the only fair distribution," her attorney stated firmly. With mediation failed, we were headed for trial. In preparation, I spent countless hours gathering evidence, bank statements, text messages, discussing our financial arrangements, emails about house renovations, and testimonials from friends who had witnessed our discussions about property division. During this exhaustive review, I discovered something crucial. Amanda had never reported her portion of the property taxes in her tax filings, despite our agreement to split them proportionally. While researching property law one sleepless night, I came across a section on tax liability for jointly held assets, even when not officially on the deed. I immediately called Thomas. "This could be significant," he confirmed after reviewing the tax code sections I had found. "If she is claiming she had an ownership interest all along, she should have been reporting her share of the property tax deductions. Not doing so could constitute tax misrepresentation. Can we use this?" I asked. Thomas smiled for the first time since I had hired him. "This is where your meticulous record-keeping pays off. We will absolutely include this in our response and counterclaim." That night, I felt the first glimmer of hope. Perhaps there was a way to fight back using Amanda's own aggressive tactics against her, a form of malicious compliance with her demand to be treated as a property owner. With this new strategy in mind, Thomas filed a countersuit that fundamentally changed the dynamics of the case. We demanded a full accounting of all property-related expenses and contributions, complete with documentation. The legal filing specifically requested proof of Amanda's claimed unpaid labor with market rate valuations, and most importantly, copies of her tax returns for the years we lived together to verify proper reporting of property-related deductions and expenses. If she wants to be treated as an equal owner retroactively, then she needs to have fulfilled all the obligations of ownership, Thomas explained as we reviewed the filing, including tax compliance. The discovery phase of the lawsuit revealed just how unprepared Amanda was for a serious legal battle. While I provided neatly organized folders of documentation, including spreadsheets tracking every house-related expense, emails discussing our financial arrangements, and witness statements from friends who had heard us discuss our 70-30 split, Amanda's team produced vague statements and unsupported claims. Her attorney requested multiple extensions for document production, which the court grudgingly granted. When they finally submitted their documentation, it was woefully inadequate. Her claimed substantial improvements to the property consisted mainly of decorative items she had already taken when moving out. Her unpaid labor lacked any objective valuation methodology. Most tellingly, she failed to produce tax records showing she had reported her claimed ownership interest. During her deposition, Amanda struggled to maintain her narrative under Thomas's precise questioning. "You claim you and Mr. Joseph had a verbal agreement for equal ownership of the property, correct?" Thomas asked. "Yes, we always intended to be equal partners," Amanda replied. "Then, please explain this email from March 15th, 3 years ago, where you wrote, and I quote, 'I understand my 30% contribution gives me 30% ownership as we discussed.'" Amanda shifted. "Uncomfortably. That was early in the process. We later agreed to equal ownership regardless of contribution. Do you have any documentation of this subsequent agreement?" "It was verbal. Joseph assured me we were equal partners." Thomas then produced a series of text messages contradicting her claim, including one sent just 2 months before our breakup, where she had specifically referenced my 30% of the house when discussing renovation costs. The questioning continued to Amanda's tax filings, which became the centerpiece of our strategy. "Miss Amanda, in your tax filings for the past 3 years, did you claim deductions for mortgage interest or property tax consistent with your claimed ownership stake?" She glanced at her attorney before answering. "No, Joseph handled the taxes for the house." "So, you were claiming equal ownership rights, but not reporting any ownership interest to the IRS. Are you aware that could constitute tax fraud, if you were in fact an equal owner, as you now claim?" Her attorney objected, but the question had achieved its purpose. The contradiction in Amanda's position was now clearly established in the record. Throughout this process, Amanda's attorney attempted to pressure me into settling, suggesting various scenarios where I would still lose significant value, but not everything. "My client is willing to accept 45% of the current market value to resolve this amicably," her attorney offered during a break in depositions. Thomas countered with our position. "My client will pay 30% of the current value, matching her documented contribution, minus his legal fees caused by this unwarranted lawsuit." Amanda, overhearing this, turned red with anger. "This is ridiculous. I put years of my life into that house, years you spent while cheating with your trainer," I replied coolly, surprising myself with my composure. "And years during which you apparently committed tax fraud." Her attorney pulled her away before she could respond, but her expression told me everything. She had never expected me to fight back so effectively. As the trial date approached, I prepared intensively. Thomas arranged mock questioning sessions to ensure I would remain calm and consistent on the stand. We gathered additional evidence, including testimony from our mutual friend Sophia, who had witnessed several conversations about our financial arrangement and Amanda's subsequent relationship with Mark. The night before the trial, I barely slept. My mind raced with potential scenarios, arguments and counter-arguments, the financial implications of winning or losing. By morning, I was running on adrenaline and coffee, dressed in my most professional attire, a charcoal suit I had worn only twice before for job interviews. The courthouse loomed before me, its stone facade imposing and institutional. Inside, I spotted Amanda and her attorney in whispered conversation. She had dressed for sympathy, I noticed. Conservative clothing, minimal makeup, hair pulled back simply. When she saw me, she straightened her posture and fixed me with a cold stare, a hint of smugness in her expression. She still believed she would win. The courtroom filled slowly with the various participants in the day's proceedings. Judge Rivera entered precisely at 9, and the formal process began. Opening statements outlined the opposing positions: Amanda's claim of equal partnership despite unequal contribution versus my documented evidence of a proportional agreement. When Amanda took the stand, her performance was clearly rehearsed. She spoke softly about our partnership, her contributions to making our house a home, and her belief that we were building a future together, regardless of who paid what. Her attorney led her through prepared answers that painted a picture of a devoted partner blindsided by my alleged betrayal. During cross-examination, Thomas methodically dismantled this narrative. He presented email after email, text after text, showing Amanda's clear acknowledgement of our 70-30 arrangement. He questioned her about specific conversations witnessed by friends, where she had explicitly referred to her 30% stake. "Would you like me to play the recording from Derek's birthday party where you stated, and I quote, 'I only own 30%, so Joseph gets to make the final call on renovations?'" Thomas asked. Amanda's face paled. "You recorded private conversations. Mr. Derek recorded his birthday celebration, and provided the relevant portion voluntarily, Thomas clarified. Would you like to revise your previous testimony? The systematic deconstruction of Amanda's claims continued with testimony from our mutual friend Sophia, who recounted specific conversations about our financial arrangement. The property assessor who had worked with us confirmed our discussions about proportional ownership. Even the real estate agent who had helped us purchase the home testified to our clear division of financial responsibility. Then came the most damaging evidence, the tax documentation. Thomas presented an expert witness who explained the tax implications of property ownership and the legal requirement to report such assets accurately. If someone claims to be a 50% owner of a property valued at $900,000, what would be the tax reporting requirements? Thomas asked the expert. They would need to report their proportional share of property taxes paid and could claim their share of mortgage interest deductions, the expert explained. Not doing so while claiming ownership would raise serious compliance issues. When presented with Amanda's tax returns showing no such reporting, the inconsistency in her position became glaring. She had wanted the benefits of ownership without the responsibilities and obligations. Judge Rivera's questions throughout the proceedings indicated her growing skepticism of Amanda's claims. She repeatedly asked for documentation that Amanda's team simply could not provide. By closing arguments, the momentum had clearly shifted. Thomas summarized our case, concisely documented evidence of a 70-30 split, consistent acknowledgement of this arrangement by both parties, until the breakup and serious questions about Amanda's credibility given the tax discrepancies. Amanda's attorney attempted to redirect focus to the spirit of partnership and the understood equality in our relationship, but these arguments felt hollow against the weight of documentary evidence. When Judge Rivera delivered her ruling, her words were measured but decisive. Based on the preponderance of evidence, the court finds that the property agreement between the parties was as documented: 70% ownership by the plaintiff, 30% by the defendant. She continued, addressing Amanda directly. Your claim for equal ownership is not supported by the evidence. In fact, the court is troubled by the inconsistency between your ownership claims and your tax filings. The judge not only denied Amanda's claims but ordered her to pay my legal fees, citing the frivolous nature of the lawsuit in light of clear documentary evidence to the contrary. Amanda's face transformed as the ruling was delivered. Shock gave way to anger, then something approaching fear as the judge mentioned the tax implications. Furthermore, Judge Rivera concluded the court will be referring the tax discrepancy issue to the appropriate authorities for review as is required by law. As we left the courtroom, I felt no triumph, only relief that justice had been served and a weight had been lifted. Amanda hurried past without looking at me, her attorney following with a grim expression. The aftermath of the court victory unfolded in ways I never could have anticipated. Within 2 weeks, Amanda received notice of a tax audit triggered by the court proceedings. The IRS investigation revealed that her tax issues extended well beyond our property. She had been significantly underreporting income from consulting work for years. Through mutual friends, I learned that Amanda faced substantial financial penalties and potential criminal charges for tax evasion. The stress of these mounting legal problems created a rift between her and Mark, who apparently had not signed up for a partner with such complicated baggage. They broke up 6 months after our court case concluded. Meanwhile, I legally secured full ownership of our home after buying out Amanda's 30% at fair market value as ordered by the court. Ironically, a major tech company announced a new headquarters location just blocks from our property shortly after the case concluded, sending real estate values soaring in our neighborhood. The house appreciated nearly 20% in the following year, gains that would have been partly hers had she accepted my original fair offer instead of pursuing a greedy lawsuit. My own recovery was gradual but steady. I found a therapist specializing in relationship betrayal and post-litigation stress. I reconnected with friends I had neglected, rebuilt my professional reputation by leading my team to a successful project launch, and slowly regained my confidence. 11 months after the court case, I ran into Amanda at a local grocery store. The encounter was brief, but revealing. She looked diminished. Somehow the designer clothes and perfect makeup replaced by a worn appearance that spoke of ongoing struggles. I learned later that she had lost her marketing job when her employer discovered her legal issues. Joseph, she said clearly, surprised to see me. Amanda, I replied with a nod, surprised by my own lack of emotion. The anger and hurt had faded, leaving only a distant recognition of someone I once knew. I heard you still have the house, she said, a hint of bitterness in her voice. I do. It is worth a lot more now, right? The calculation still evident in her eyes. It is, I confirmed, offering nothing more. After an awkward silence, we both moved on, disappearing down different aisles just as we had taken different paths in life. That brief encounter crystallized something important for me. I had moved forward while Amanda remained stuck in the same patterns of entitlement and opportunism that had destroyed our relationship and ultimately her stability. 3 months later, I sold the house for a substantial profit and purchased a smaller but more modern condo closer to my office. The new space had no memories of Amanda, no echoes of arguments or betrayal. It was solely mine bought, with lessons hard-earned about documentation boundaries and the importance of character in those we choose to trust. In time, I began dating again, approaching relationships with healthier boundaries and clearer communication about expectations. I met Leah, a software engineer with an independent spirit and straightforward approach to both emotional and financial matters. We talked openly about our previous relationships and the lessons learned, including my experience with Amanda. That is why I believe in prenuptial agreements, Leah said when I shared my story. Not because I expect failure, but because clarity prevents conflict. Her practical wisdom reinforced what my experience had taught me. Proper documentation protects everyone in a relationship, not just financially, but emotionally as well. It establishes trust through transparency rather than undermining it. The legal battle with Amanda, while painful and costly, ultimately preserved my financial future and taught me invaluable lessons about standing up for myself. Had I settled out of fear or exhaustion, I would have lost hundreds of thousands of dollars and perhaps more importantly, my self-respect. Today, 5 years after that fateful lawsuit, I look back on the experience not with bitterness but with appreciation for the growth it forced upon me. I learned to recognize red flags in relationships, to document important agreements, and to trust my instincts when something feels wrong. I discovered my own resilience and the value of principled persistence in the face of injustice. As for Amanda, I heard she eventually moved to another state for a fresh start. I wish her no ill will. Her own choices led to consequences far more severe than anything I could have orchestrated. The justice system, with its methodical process and emphasis on documentation, accomplished what anger and vengeance never could: a resolution based on facts rather than emotions. My story is not one of revenge, but of standing firm when wrongfully accused, of fighting back with truth when faced with dishonesty. Sometimes, the best response to malicious behavior is simply to insist on proper procedure, a form of malicious compliance that lets systems of accountability do their work. Have you ever had to stand up for yourself against someone trying to take advantage of you? Leave a comment below sharing your experience. Do not forget to like and subscribe for more real-life stories about overcoming challenges and finding justice in unexpected ways. And if you know someone dealing with a difficult breakup or legal battle, share this video to let them know they are not alone. Thank you for listening, and remember, document everything and stand your ground when you know you are right.